You got me going through some of your feedback on our SMS line. That is the short code 22047. John from Kitale saying, hakuna stima giza kama yote. Of course, you've heard what the load shedding schedule has been announced by, that will be released in a few days, as well as Charles. You're watching us from, I guess that's a typo, saying you're watching. Thank you so much for your feedback as we continue to usher in Kenya at 60 in just about a few hours. Now, the Youth Connekt Summit ended today, and some of the deliberations and the comments that came in, especially from President William Ruto, was on a borderless African continent. I sat down with the Secretary for Youth Development in the government of the Republic of Kenya, that is Raymond Ochieng, to unpack what the past few days have been and what the future portends. Take a look. Right, we thank you so much for watching TV47, the home of untold stories. Now, since last week, we have been bringing you the Youth Connekt Africa Summit that has been taking place at the Kenyatta International Convention Center right here in Nairobi. And a lot has been discussed indeed, but at this point, I want us to have a conversation on how, just getting in a nutshell what has been happening and also looking at the future. And I'm privileged to be speaking to Raymond Ochieng. He is the Secretary for Youth Development in the government of the Republic of Kenya. Thank you so much, Raymond, for joining us. A pleasure to speak to you.
And it's a pleasure to be on TV47. I believe right now the channel for the youth. Huh?
Yeah, the channel.
So you're having the majority of the population. So I'm at the real place, the home of entertainment. So it can't get better.
Stories.
Yeah.
Let's begin with
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm in a suit, of course.
Yeah. I'm very easy.
You're very
Loco, for the young guys.
And we will begin with what we saw the head of public service speak about and, issue a memo on the dress code that you're also dressed up in, scaling down and wearing casual dress code, especially for that entire summit. What inspired that?
From the head of public service in terms of the dressing, I think definitely, young people are borderless in terms of how they think, how they present themselves. A t-shirt and a jeans is better enough. A short, if they would really be comfortable. Bikinis, if they would want to make it happen. So it's young guys, they don't want to be judged by sometimes how they look and what they dress, but they always believe in who they are and what you can use that potential to get what you want done. I think that's where the bottom line is. So that's why there is a need for the guidance, the opportunities, creating the pathways, creating the value chains for these young guys, to scale up, great ideas that they have. A good idea is a good idea. A great idea is a great idea. But at the end of the day, whether they come from a young person, the only thing about a youth is they do not have experience. Because if you pick yourself and myself and any other young person on the ground, they'll say they do not have experience. But they have great ideas. They may not have the money, the resources, but there are those guys who have the resources. So then how then do we help young people's ideas count in a society? So this is all about how it was, and this is the essence of the Youth Connekt, and this is the essence of the summit, of just bringing young people together. And previously, what you get in COP and all big summits, youth becomes a pre-event or a side event. But this is the first time in Youth Connekt whereby it's not about the side event. Youth is the main event from the beginning to the end.
And indeed, now this Youth Connekt Summit was not a Kenyan event, it was also an African event. And you did see thousands of youth come from various parts of the African continent. What inspired that? What was the brains behind that?
What inspires this is one, the journey and the ideology of Youth Connekt is that it should connect Africa. And this is something that was approved by the African Union. So it's a tool and a framework that African Union, because you know what, head of states meet once in a year or once in half a year. But when they meet, all the African heads of states, youth can be one of the agendas, but will not be the main agenda. But at the end of the day, how do you ignore a major population not to be part of ideas of what is going to affect them? So that's how African Union adopted the Youth Connekt as a tool of youth engagement. So it's an African story, made by Africa and to be run by Africa. We have the Ballon d'Or. I gave this example to ministers yesterday when I was briefing them yesterday at the interministerial meeting. And I said, Ballon d'Or is a France-originated idea. But look how it is big. Europeans do not question that if Ballon d'Or says who is going to be the player of the year, the world accepts it as that. So it is high time Africa gets their own product and believes in that product and pushes that product. And Youth Connekt is this product for the young people.
Now, the Kenyan youth make up, especially in the Republic of Kenya, 75% of the entire population. What are some of the key highlights, notably so because this is a high population and, of course, they drive so much and inform, especially decision-making and policy at government level?
Key highlights. One is the borderlessness in terms of connectivity of youth, which is the main reason why you would have young people coming from across Africa and getting just to experience who the other one. You will not be surprised today. I left there and a group of young people held me and they were telling me, Raymond, we are very grateful. And you know, I thought it was a cliche way of, just here listening and you walk away. And then one young person said something that was very exciting, that, you know what, Raymond, I didn't think I would ever come to this building, KICC. And to some of us, KICC is such a normal place. Just look at how that young person has been inspired. Then the second statement was that imagine I played pool with a Nigerian, and a Congolese. I only hear about them. Actually, there are people who are out of the confines of the urban systems that have not really experienced this. So I told them then, what is the big idea? And the big idea, they said, you know what? We have learned that life is big and beyond the villages where we are coming from. And a young girl has told me that, Raymond, I'm a young girl from a rural part of this country. And what this has inspired is that then I don't need to mess my life down on the ground because I've learned there's a bigger dream, a bigger vision and a bigger movement of young people who have got ideas and believe in themselves. So first of all, that bringing those people together was just amazing. Number two, things to do with the Climate Action Summit and adaptation. And we're just coming from the African Climate Summit. And our president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has cut himself not only as an African champion for climate action, but a global champion for the same. And it was just a great part for Kenya to take lead and bring and rally young people and actors. And as we speak, we've got ministers from over 30 countries here in the country. We've got ambassadors, over 40 ambassadors, and head of delegations from all over Africa. So it was just that good to synergize and create that agenda of climate action and adaptability. Food systems has also been a key highlight. The youth consume the most. So how do you not involve the person who consumes the most to also come and contribute how what they consume needs to be brought on the table? That is it. So how young people are looking at innovative ways of addressing food systems value chain, that was also a key highlight. And again, definitely, digital economy and revolution of the same, we cannot underscore that. You've seen Safaricom create a simulation space here and young people just showcasing what they're doing. And we have got our young guy called Zach who has come up with the time board for the games. And, right now even Sekafa has onboarded him. It's just somebody who said, why are we using boards that, striker number 7? It has always been very rudimentary and archaic of how we display our football on the grassroots. So many key takeaway homes, but the inspiration that has gone across board, the peer-to-peer learning between ministers, a minister listening and getting what the other person is doing with the National Youth Service in their country, bilaterals that have gone on around with youth leaders and everything. So we can take your 3 shows to just highlight and showcase this.
Now, looking at the summits that we've had in the past, what are some of the things as the Secretary for Youth Development in the Republic of Kenya, the government, the GOK, what are some of the different things, or what is different this time, so much so that we shall not have such ideas, such forums, such summits, end up being shelved in, government shelves and gather dust over there, and such great ideas that we've been seeing over these past few days?
What is different is we cannot run away from the theme. Youth innovating a borderless African renaissance. We cannot run away from that. Africa has been depicted as youth refugees departing on boats on high seas. Africa is depicted as a depiction portrait of a mother, a dying mother, with a malnourished child suckling the last pint of milk. Africa has been depicted as 3 kids with tattered clothes dancing in the rain, having nothing. Africa has been depicted with a small boy with a housefly on their face, looking hopelessly, not knowing what tomorrow holds. But that is not the true picture of Africa. The true picture of Africa is Africa is resilient. There are great stories, there are change makers, there are great ideas that are emerging from Africa. There are great transformational stories and agents of change who are doing great things in Africa. There are those young people who are doing a lot of things in the villages through Red Cross, through many interventions and social protection activities that are happening in Africa. So Africa is a beautiful place. So at the end of the day, the message that we can say, we can never run away from this. Whether we are going to be having many Youth Connects coming from today, here we were handling the 6th edition. 7th edition, 8th edition may have different titles, but they'll not run from the reality that Africa needs to open up and consolidate itself.
Now, at this summit, we did see President William Ruto, the head of state, speak very passionately about the borderless continent, and he has spoken so much so about that. What opportunities do such remarks and do such opportunities present, especially for the young people of Kenya and the rest of the African continent?
We have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that was signed, that Kenya was one of the first countries that subscribed to the same, that we're talking about how then do we consolidate the market base of Africa into one. That a young person, like right now, I want to ask, with M-Pesa, I cannot buy a portrait from a young person in Nigeria. But I can sit here and buy something from California. What is that? Then it just means Africa just needs to rethink, because we cannot even imagine. And I think even young guys who are here cannot imagine even that is happening. And we need to bring them, because they are innovative, they're innovators. They want these walls to be brought down. You should be ordering something in Liberia. And if you like a necklace or a watch in Liberia, gold in Liberia, why should Liberian treasures go to Paris to be refined, to come back and we buy them on premium dollars, selling? Then we should be trading amongst ourselves. So what the president did, and I'm really glad that he leaked his speech for tomorrow. So he said he's going to declare tomorrow so that you will not need any visa requirement from any other part of this world to do. Many times I've traveled that to go to another country in Africa, to go to, like right now, from Nairobi to Rabat, you have to go up to Paris to come back to Morocco. Why are we talking about that? If you're coming from the city county, our city in Kisumu, to go to, if you're a business person in Kisumu and you need to go to Kampala, what do you need? You have to come to Nairobi, then fly to Entebbe, then connect by road to how? So the president is speaking something that we will look back some years and say, how comes we were not thinking about that?
And I'm curious, Raymond, is the rest of the continent, the rest of the leaders of the African continent, are they listening? And what is the reception of this idea of having a borderless Kenya?
I think they're paying attention. The fact that as we speak today, we have over 30 ministers here tells you that the heads of states are listening. The fact that African states are subscribing to African Continental Free Trade Agreement is a clarity that we can. Because we know very well, we cannot ignore this. Like, look at what is happening. What is happening in Mali? What has happened in Burkina Faso? What has happened in South Sudan? Young people literally have been mobilized and have overthrown government. Right now, as governments, we are confused. You sit and you have these summits, delegations come from these countries. Yes, you would say you cannot invite them, but they are here. So already is a crisis, and it is a crisis on how young people have been handled. Yeah. So, some heads of states could not just come because previous weeks ago, there were attempted coups where young people are being mobilized to do the same. So the moment we don't engage these young guys, then they are going to transform and use their energy to turn the continent of Africa down. So we are in a crisis whereby we don't know how to handle coups. Because already those are sovereign states with populations who want to move, who want to do business. But again, there's a revolution that has taken place. Just in terms of a group that feels this is not the right idea, they feel they're not on the table. So we have no otherwise. This is the solution of bringing all these young people on the table and telling them, if you want to become a leader, don't do a coup. Organize yourselves as young people, have an ideology, push through the governance systems, and then get elected. But if we don't do that, they are going to elect themselves and be in office. What are we going to do? So I like this a conversation that is not just Kenyan. We are having a show on youth today that I don't have to really belabor a lot what is happening in Machakos or what is happening in Turkana, but we have to really talk about who are the youth of Africa. They are one. Yes.
Now, the youth of Kenya, of course, and it's a continental problem, we always seem to look at other countries. We hardly embrace our own products, our own ideas. Shall we get to a place where we shall be buying Africa to build Africa?
I believe a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. And the Roman Empire was never built in a day. I think these are the steps that the heads of states are taking, and I want to commend our president for taking that lead. I believe it is very risky in many people's minds that why do you want to open your borders? Are we going to be having problems to do with security issues? You have xenophobia happening in South Africa, whereby the real indigenous citizenry really feel that opportunities are being taken by foreigners. So are we going to get there? So the thing that must happen right now is we must open our borders. It is that time. Technology has already opened the borders. And I think also this thing begins with a borderless mind. And I think the president has really shown a borderless mind, because it becomes like an outlier for you to think that way. So those steps we are making, I believe they're going to come to fruition. They're going to come to fruition. Just the way Rwanda dreamt. Rwanda felt, can we have a summit that brings the whole of Africa? And they started. Right now, we were talking about, by next year, we're going to be having around the 39th member state subscribing to Youth Connekt and not asking why is it from Rwanda. Kenya just hosted. We just joined Youth Connekt this year and took over, handed over our country chapter launch this year. And the same year that we are doing this, we have already hosted the Youth Connekt summit without asking, is it a Rwandan product? So then it tells you, already we are getting there.
Now, what would be your call to action, especially to other young people? As a young person, you're a young person yourself, and especially also for other African governments at the backdrop of this Youth Connekt Summit that has happened in Nairobi?
I think what the call to action that I would see around here is putting real action to youth empowerment. Not making it a rhetoric, not making it a talk shop, because already we are sitting on a time bomb. So I expect countries to be deliberate on youth programming, finance youth programming, be deliberate on youth engagement, be deliberate on growing young leaders across Africa without feeling they are threats. So I think we are in the right place and we're in the right step. So it's only a moment of waiting and seeing. And also, the meeting that we had yesterday agreed that all heads of states must be on board. And there was a commitment that any Youth Connekt that is going to be happening past Nairobi, after Nairobi, is we must have a president anchor it. It must be presidential, because it must have a presidential champion right at the AU, whereby we are saying this is what we want to do for the youth of Africa. And that is, we have to do it.
As a government of the Republic of Kenya, are young people involved in government? Are we seeing more young people taking up positions of leadership?
They are. We've never, actually, I want TV47 to do some statistics around that. We've never had young members of county assemblies than we've had in the history of the country. We've never had young members of parliament in this National Assembly than we've never had in Kenya's history. So again, a question that I also want to speak, not only to the government, but also to the youth themselves, and not only to the young people, to those political leadership. What are we doing with the young people? We can count many young, but let me ask you, the chair of the budget committee in parliament is a young person, a youth, heading that docket. So you look at the members of parliament that if I start to count, I know some of them will tell me after the show, why did you not count my name? So I'll not go there. But county assemblies, MCAs, I think the last time I was a chief guest in here at the amphitheater, they indicated 64%, over 64% of the members of county assemblies are below 35. So already this is happening. Yeah. What
does the future portend, especially for youth participation, youth leadership, especially in the days to come post this summit, post 2023? What do you portend for the future for the young people in terms of leadership?
I think more young guys are being exposed to great platforms of dreaming, great platforms of believing in themselves. And that is also going to be injecting a lot of confidence amongst the youth that they can be what they envision themselves to become. So I expect in the space, we are not only going to expect more young people to come into the space, but to me, I'm only hoping that we see transformational young leaders coming in space. Because right now we have many young leaders, but now are they transformational enough? And somebody was asking me the other day, Raymond, why are you people pushing about this young people's agenda? Yet in my committee, half of my committee are young people, are from Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. Why are they not pushing these things? And there are people young people. So we need to address the transformation.
Now I want to give you a few minutes to speak to the Kenyan people, to face the camera and speak to them, not only the Kenyan youth, but also the African youth, and be able to speak to them, especially those who are not able to make it to KICC here in Nairobi for this summit. What can they expect?
I want to talk to the fellow young countrymen who did not make it to the Youth Connekt Summit. That this has been an extraordinary summit that brought your colleagues from not only the East African community that you're aware about, it brought young people from all over Africa who have got a dream that we can be borderless, who have got a dream that every dream is valid. Every idea that you have counts. Every great idea can be transformed into something that changes the nation. Are you a nation builder? Are you a change maker? It doesn't matter whether you are at the lowest part of the villages or the grassroots part of these countries. We need you, and we need your commitment. We don't only need your commitment, we need your participation. And we do not only need you to participate, but we need you to hold the government accountable. We need you to hold the leadership accountable. We need you to organize yourself in large numbers and elect yourself and elect young people and hold those young people accountable so that they can transform our society. Our education system needs to be better for that young person who has got a stellar performance and do not know whether they're going to land in a university. this education system must work for you. I want to talk to that young person who you could be having an experience in your family that healthcare has been expensive. Healthcare has been a challenge. But you cannot stay passive about what is going on in your nation. You need to come out when we have national participation. You need to come out when the counties call for budget participation processes. You need to step out and say, this must change for my community. You don't need to be a politician to change your world. You don't need to be a great lawyer to change your society. Neither do you need to be a great engineer to change your society. We need that young lady, that young gentleman, to say this country belongs to me. And the leaders that I see today are leaving this country in my hands. What will they leave behind for me? Whatever they want to leave behind for me, I want to be part of co-creating the next future. So I want to call upon the youth of Kenya. Let's co-create the Kenya that we want. It doesn't matter the challenges and the setbacks that we have. It doesn't matter the hurdles that we have to face that we do not have experience. It doesn't matter what we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and we think we are not good enough. Yes, I want to talk to you. You are good enough. And that is why this Youth Connect Summit had to connect you to another young person who believes in themselves. I do believe in myself, but I cannot do anything to change your status. You can. And thank you, TV47. In all the 47 counties, let's do it.
Now, I cannot let you go without asking you what is happening behind us. We've been hearing some noise, some music coming in from there. What is going on?
Yes. The heavens opened up 3 days ago, and everybody was flying into Nairobi. And today, the gates are closing, and we are closing it in style. We have got an extravaganza that is going down, and we have young people just sweating it out in terms of entertainment. And you know very well about the creative economy, the orange economy. Young people are at the hub and the creators of entertainment. So behind the scenes here, we have a beautiful extravaganza whereby we are having a real party. Real party. And it's a youth party. Thank you so much for having me. Super grateful and happy to see you too. And you are a youth, I believe. Yes. You are, I've seen, and I'm very happy, man. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Indeed, I've been speaking to Raymond Ochieng. He is the Secretary for Youth Development in the Government of the Republic of Kenya. Just, looking at the takeaways and how the Youth Connect Summit has gone about here in Nairobi. And at the backdrop of that, wishing you a wonderful night and a prosperous day.